Hello, everyone. How are you today? I hope you are doing well. Donna Paige Riley here with another episode of What's Your Dream? I am so excited and delighted to have a very special guest with us. And I'm going to tell you just a little bit about her, first of all. Her name is Angelika Selle, and she's the president of WFWP USA and Vice President of WFWP International North America. Angelika Selle, born in Pforzheim, Germany, studied Catholic theology, German, and English at the University of Freiburg in Germany. She has worked with government officials, held the position of editor-in-chief for two magazines, the German language Neue Hoffnung and Today's World, and taught at an elementary school in Maryland. In 2001, Ms. Selle found the Prayer and Action Ministry, and in 2003, the Interfaith Prayer and Fellowship Ministry in Washington, D.C. Based on racial and religious reconciliation work in the U.S., Africa, and the Middle East, in 2004, the Interreligious and International Peace Council bestowed on Mrs. Selle the Crown of Peace Award for exemplary leadership in reconciliation and peacemaking in a ceremony at the Dirksen Senate Office Building in Washington, D.C. Since her appointment at WFWP USA President in 2010, Mrs. Selle has been focusing on the grassroots development and the next generation. Her passion is to empower women and men of all ages, races, and religions in peace building based on leadership of the heart. She is an educator, motivational speaker, writer, and ambassador for peace. In 1983, she settled here in the United States with her American husband, Robert Selle. They are the parents of 4 children and the grandparents to 4 grandchildren. Help me welcome Mrs. Angela Selle, and I'm going to refer to you, if it's okay, as President Selle. Is that okay?
That's fine, Donna. Sure.
Wonderful, wonderful. I am so, again, delighted to have you here. I know we've been trying to work this out for a while, but I do believe that things happen when they are supposed to. So this is perfect timing. So what I would like to do is just simply ask you just to tell everyone a little bit about yourself. I want them to get a chance to know you.
Well, thank you so much, Donna, and bless your ministry, which I love, by the way. And thanks for having me today. So yeah, it's my honor to be here and to share. First of all, I want to say to God be the glory, because that has been my dream when I was a child of 3, right? I already felt close to Jesus, but not the Jesus of theology, okay? I want to mention that. I had my personal connection. Yeah. I said, what is it that he wants me to do? And as I grew up, of course, growing up in the Catholic faith. My parents are from Europe, obviously. My father from Germany, my mother from Bohemia, which is the east of Europe. It's a very different mentality, right? So I have also some Hungarian ancestors, and I go back to the Huns. There's kind of a mixture there. And somehow I inherited a lot of faith and prayer from my mother's side, and then looking forward to love all races and religions and colors, and and the life and the joy of life of my father, not to have an open mind. So I was grateful for my ancestry, if you will. And so I read a lot of books of the saints when I was young, and I thought, I want to be a saint, but not removed from the world. I want to make a difference in the world and make God real. It was kind of my dream already when I was 10. So I loved the prayer of St. Francis, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. And so then I looked around studying theology. I saw that people were so stuck on the denomination and the actual doctrine that I almost lost my faith studying it, because it was all focusing on interpretation and letters and all that, but people didn't live the faith. So I was frustrated, so where can I find people who live their faith, who walk the walk? And so, yeah, I can only just forward. When I was 20, I was introduced to the Holy Spirit Association for the Unification of World Christianity. It's now the Unification Movement. The founders were from Korea. That was kind of interesting to me. But I thought I'd check out what the philosophy is behind it. And when I studied that, I realized, oh my goodness, that's exactly what I was looking for. And then I had another confirmation when I prayed to Jesus. I said, what do you think? And I got a strong confirmation that they have received the mantle from Jesus to practice and to bring us to the next level, to be able to live the faith of living for the sake of others. And so I joined together, and then God brought me through so many, as you could hear from, there's only a little bit of my bio. This is all God, right? Giving me the opportunity to discover my talents while I'm committing myself always to peace. I wanted to be a peacemaker. I love God, bottom line. I love God, I love people. I'm into more the essence of religion rather than the doctrine that is divisive. Mm-hmm. And I love that, the teachings that talk about, go from the head to the heart, because in the level of the heart, we are all equal. There is really one family under God, if we see each other beyond race, religion, color, and mindsets, actually, culture. My husband is from America, I'm European. There's a lot of differences, even though we have same color, but you have no idea challenges, right? So I am just grateful that God guided me to this movement, and I feel I took ownership of my own dream, and collaborating with other like-minded people, and we want to together make a difference.
Absolutely. And I'm so grateful that you are sharing, your dream with us. If you would, I know in the introduction, they heard me say WFWP or WFFWP. Can you please explain to everyone, because I know they're wondering, those who may not know, what on earth is that?
Oh, yes. It stands for Women's Federation for World Peace. Yes. So that alone is inspirational, right?
Yes.
A federation of women. And so very simply, this is women of all backgrounds, colors, religions, and age, coming together to create one global family under God. That's the vision, peace. We are taking peace seriously because it has to start from within, right? Yeah. So the Women's Federation is founded on those premises that we do affirm a creator, our divine creator. Mm-hmm. We also affirm that we are created in the divine image of God, male and female. So that also implies that we have a divine origin as women. And that is what inspired me when I heard that, interpretation. And it's true. We see male and female in our environment, in nature, everywhere we go, there is that balance, I would call it. So we are an organization that is not a feminist movement, it's feminine. So we are not here to compete with men, we're here to complete each other. But first, we have to get to another spiritual level where we go beyond our current realities, because they are really coming from a dysfunctional background, everyone, right, from the beginning of time. Right. So we will highlight the goodness, the divinity within the namaste, if you will, so that we can see in a different light ourselves and each other. So that's the internal makeup of Women's Federation, but it is also based on a lot of sacrifice and service of the first missionaries that were sent out in 1992. It was founded in Korea with the premise to announce the arrival of the era of women, because without women and without God, there will be no peace, because there is no balance in the world. How problems are being approached in terms of solutions. And that's what Women's Federation is also about, how to bring solutions to current problems. So the vision is to empower and equip women with essential knowledge that's spiritual as well, and skills to discover, I'm going to read it here, the intrinsic feminine value as leaders of the heart, because we're all leaders as we are already mothers of our households and of our lives, and realize that create an environment for others that is conducive to peace, and that's what you're doing. You're doing that kind of work in your field. So our areas are women's leadership, family, and we highlight family very much because the school of love is really in the family. If we can heal the family, we can heal society. And then also the peace building activities of service, love, and sacrifice. I always like the quote of Mother Moon. She says, she's our inspiration and example. The world, what does it say? History is calling for compassion, love, service, and sacrifice. Today's problems cannot be solved by the logic of power. They can only be solved by the logic of love. It's called, it looks like it's a small thing, the logic of love. What is love? But it's very big. Loving the unlovable. It's the strength to love. Dr. Martin Luther King was, by the way, one of my favorite heroes. I always read his books. So yes, Women's Federation is working together in 190 countries now, and 35 chapters here in America. We collaborate, and you can go on our website, of course, and see all the activities that are going on. And this year, I want to mention, it is a milestone year. Yeah. Because it's the 30th anniversary since 1992. Right? And it's also the 25th anniversary of the NGO in general consultative status that was acquired because of the Schools of Africa project in 1997. And then finally, we also have the 10th anniversary of the Global Women Peace Network, which was the last project that our founders initiated to bring together women leaders of organizations, governments, and bring everything to the next level to find solutions, to collaborate beyond differences. Scientists and religious leaders, everyone needs to get together to find solutions for the better and to start a new trajectory in the midst of this, shall we say, mess, pain, suffering, anger, emotions, to create an oasis of a different type and replace that which is in need of love and healing, and also uplift, and edify the good in everything.
Wow. I do want to circle back and say, I'm so excited that you said that this was it's not a feminist organization, but it is a feminine organization. And so oftentimes when you hear of women's organizations, that's the first thing that comes to some people's mind, or they must be feminists. And that's not the case at all. So you said 190 countries. How exciting. I don't want to ask you to name all the countries, but would you be kind enough to share some of those other countries? This is so exciting.
Well, first of all, it started in Korea, so there is our main base, so to speak, and then Japan, because Japan has sent out 1,600 women in 1992. They were kind of the pioneers of this organization with their motherly heart, and it's another key word for the hallmark of Women's Federation. It's based on a motherly heart to serve, to love, to give, and forget and give more. And so then, so certainly the United States, Canada, South America, all the continents have several chapters. Also in Europe, Eurasia, and China, Africa, many chapters in Africa, by the way. And then also South America, in most all countries in South America. And then also Oceania. We have a chapter in Australia, New Zealand, and so forth. So continents, we have continental leadership. And so it's one of my responsibilities for North America that includes Canada. And there's, also like we call them international vice presidents. we collaborate together with our international president, and she is the daughter-in-law of Father and Mother Moon, Dr. Julia Moon, and then the senior vice president is the daughter, Dr. Sanjin Moon. They're such inspirational, powerful, humble women that inspire us so much. And so I think all the women, who work, some work in the UN. Actually, we have a UN activity going on, and 3 chapters like in Geneva, in Vienna, and then in New York. There is, activities working with the UN because we have the status to bring a new perspective to the UN that is more spiritual centered. And I would say ultimately it's we are dealing with changing a mindset, actually, from selfishness to unselfish. That's really the bottom line, because all problems probably start with that issue, isn't it? I have my opinion and I have my pain and my. But then what about we? Let us come together. So yeah, we work on levels with, we are not political, another point. We are not political, we cannot be. But we also we do emphasize values of traditional family, yes, because why? Because the vision is that if that's in place correctly, right now it's not. That's why people let it go and think of other forms, and that's fine. But we want to kind of show and tell that there is a way to make marriage an amazing and unbelievable experience. However, it would require that both husband and wife would commit to a higher purpose, right? So many people are rededicating their marriages on that note. And once they understand, when things change in their lives and their families completely change. So that's a powerful work we're doing around the globe. And then, of course, service projects like our Japanese movement has, I think, 194 projects going on around the world, from building, sewage dams or whatever. No, sorry, sewage. What is it called? Forgot the name. Anyway, they're helping all countries to, Myanmar and in areas where there's a lot of pain and suffering. That is Mother Moon's heart, by the way, and she's the ultimate inspiration and example. She says, women have to go to the most remote villages where there's great pain and suffering and bring healing and love with the mother's heart and with our divine God. So yeah, it's hard to describe such an incredible foundation of substance in a few words. So, but I would say that every woman is invited to connect, because we are not saying that it is only for a certain kind of woman. I think it's for all women, because we're going on the inside, right? And that's what Mother Moon has been also practicing and showing all her life. She's extremely devoted to God and to this cause of peace, and working very hard. She sleeps like 3 hours maximum all her life, for the sake of others. So we can't compete. We cannot compete with that. So anyway, a lot of people call her the Mother of Peace because of that. And she's the driving force. She's now bringing together heads of state, and she's doing a real high-level work in the world, actually, with the international world summits, with scientists of highest caliber come together, and medical doctors, and professors, and leaders of religions. That's a very important part, because the founders have always been saying, once religious leaders come together and go beyond their theological differences, then they can have the true power of God to make God a reality. People don't even believe in God anymore because they don't see the evidence in our lives. So these religious leaders have come from every faith, coming together, pouring the water in one container, and working together to bring that higher knowledge, and the spiritual knowledge that goes beyond religion, actually. Universal. It's a human race, international universal knowledge that is shared, and that can give us a new vision, because without vision, the people will perish. That vision of something better, something higher. And when we are in the midst of suffering right now, even with COVID still going on, the divides, the wars and everything, then we need that more than anything, that hope, that vision. And that's very much part of the Women's Federation work. And hope comes also from action, I would say, right? We can talk, but let's see, what did you do to make a positive change? So that's what we empower women to do, so they can feel, we can feel the value as being a daughter of God. And that value cannot be taken by anybody. That's where the feminine comes in. Why not be who you really are made to be? You don't have to become a man, right? We learned that, right? To push you with the elbows and do it that way. And I've had a lot of training in that, by the way, but I had to kind of unlearn and come to my actual, you know, kind of sweetness and warmth and a kind of thing that's also in us. I apologize for going a little bit
Oh,
around.
no. No, I certainly appreciate the details, because I'm sure, you know, people are, for those who are just being introduced to this organization for the first time, I'm wanting them to have some details. In fact, if you can just take a moment to let people know how they can find out more information about the organization, and how they can join in to become a part of this peace movement.
Yes. Well, go to WFWP.us or www.wfwp.us. That's our website for the United States. We also have an international website, that's wfwp.org. Then you can see the international, the breadth and depth of all the activities that are going on around the world. And so when you go to our website, there are options like get involved. Then you click on that, and then you can become a member and receive the free newsletter, which is called Logic of Love, because that's the motto, living by the logic of love. It's free every other week. And then you can also become a paying member, which we highly encourage you, because we really live off our membership fees, and our operation is, you know, volunteers, and then our main office has, employed ladies like myself. But in general, we really use our funds for our activities of outreach and education. Those are the two areas. And you find also a lot of that material on the website. You know, you can, when you join, you get constant, you know, the newsletter, and then also certain benefits of having access to UN sessions that occur once a year, the Commission on the Status of Women. We are reaching out to many young professionals now. Young women also have a chance to contribute, just to even be in that atmosphere of the women with that kind of heart and mindset, you know, and learning from the elders, and being empowered, you know, but also express their gifts and talents. So we have several, well, internships, or we encourage the women to connect to a local chapter. You know, you can find it also on the website. And if there is none, then let us know if you would like to start one or find a way. Yeah.
It is absolutely a wonderful organization. I remember when I was introduced to it by Sabine Quasi, she introduced me to the organization. And when I looked it up, I said, wow, this is absolutely amazing. You know, the work that is a part of this organization. And then of course I have Mother Moon's book, and the mother of peace, Dr. Moon, and it's just absolutely, yes, that's it, absolutely. Can you hold that up another moment?
Sure.
And let people see that Mother Peace.
Yeah.
And just her life is just absolutely amazing. And of course, as you know, what better time than now to talk about peace, and not just talk about it, but be about peace. And of course, this organization is certainly, to me, it exudes peace and love. And I just think it is beautiful. And of course, you know, with the younger, the girls, it's so great for them to be introduced to the organization and to the body of work at a young age. And that is, I just think it's exemplary work that the organization is doing. And so I would certainly suggest that you go and look up this organization. It's so many wonderful things. I know you mentioned the well, you mentioned three, the 30th anniversary and the 10th anniversary. Can you talk about the 30th anniversary? Can you give us maybe some insight into what that celebration may be like?
Okay. So since we still live in COVID times, we will not have a in-person, unfortunately, big celebration, but we will have a big event on the 22nd of October online at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And we gave it a title called Radiate. It's time for womanhood and the enlightened women especially to radiate their spiritual beauty and their external beauty, because I believe every woman is beautiful anyway. So we're celebrating womanhood and then all the accomplishments of the 30 years of volunteers. There will be the first section will honor the past. So we have a presentation and slideshow of those who have given their lives even for building the foundation and honoring and hearing from the elders, the testimonies, what they went through, because, you know, it sounds wonderful, but peacemaking is a very, very, very difficult job. I can say that from experience. You have to go the way of the humility. People want peace, but they don't want to do peace. So you get attacked, you get, you know, this is very hard. So people don't want to do it. But we give power, you know, what we're doing right now, we have curricula, and that's what we're going to present a little bit in our next section of the program. What are we doing right now? It's called Celebrating the Present. We're going to introduce some curricula. Leadership of the Heart is one, then the Cornerstone for Peace for Family and Relationships, and there's also the Bridge of Peace. So that is another pillar. We have our International Senior Vice President give a message from the founder. And then we end with looking into the future, having a small panel of young women talk about building the future and what their heart and spirit is all about, what their hopes are. And so, of course, we'll have a lot of music, celebration, and just really make it a beautiful day of showing the divine femininity and the beauty, the heart, the spirit of what womanhood can be, you know, and in action, you know, what can be done, because every woman has power if you connect to the power source and if you connect to one another, as we can really learn from each other. I have learned so much from the women I work with, from every culture in the world. In fact, I love cultures that have ancient traditions because they have so much depth and wisdom that has been lost a little bit here in America, I would say, or in the Western world. We become a little secular here. And I kind of want to connect the sacred and the secular, you know. There shouldn't be a divide. There should be kind of we need both. We need religion and science. So that is also a hallmark of the Women's Federation and the movement. And so we will not be able to celebrate everything, but we hope that afterwards, in each and every region, we have 5, there will be a follow-up, because we cannot possibly honor every single volunteer that has contributed out of their own pocket many times and go through very difficult situations to bring the organization forward and the vision and the heart. So yeah, be there.
Yes, absolutely. It is certainly on my calendar, October 22nd. It's on a Saturday, and I'm really, really excited about that. Sounds like it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful celebration. If you would, tell us a little bit about the HerStory Award. Would you kind of talk about what that is and how long maybe this has been a part, has been a celebration, a part of the organization as well?
Well, you know, I have to say that the HerStory Award is seated here in America. It was my inspiration. When I became the president, I was praying, you know, and what God has me do. So I found a presentation from a former international president, Mrs. Dr. Lanya Moon, and she had a PowerPoint presentation called Her Story. Mm-hmm. And in that story, her story, she started explaining the history of women, starting from Eve, the first woman, so-called, right? I mean, whatever we want to call her. Mm-hmm. She was the first woman who derailed everything. And so there is a consequence of suffering of the womanhood all to this day. And so there was a very powerful presentation, you know, bringing us up to Jesus and all the women in history and how women have made an intent and risen up, in every culture to be more leadership. So we have kind of paid the price for coming forward now with a lot of inner wisdom as well. And so, of course, Mother Moon has also paved that way, and she's introducing that. So I thought, you know what? Every woman has a story, and that's never been told. And we have so many accomplished women, but no one knows what they actually have to go through to get there. That's why we said, let's do the HerStory Award and let's hear the story behind the story. So we started having honorific, acknowledgements at every national assembly. We used to have once a year an annual convention, and that convention we would have a HerStory Award time, and we call up the 3 women and they give a 5-minute story, because we cannot hear the whole story. But you were one of them too, so I want to congratulate you, because you were one of them last this September, right?
Thank you so much. I'm just so grateful to be acknowledged. I am. I'm just,
because we learn so much, from the women that have gone through things. So like you're suffering, and that's usually what it comes from, and overcoming it. Then it becomes like a manual for others, and those who can overcome, right? Not everyone can, right? There's so much, depending on what your makeup is or your support or whatever you're dealing with, but it's supposed to give hope. And so this year, just to complete that, this year we decided, let's do a monthly ceremony on the national level, so we can really get that word out in those stories, and then honor the women such as yourself. And I really want to thank you again for what you said. I hope your video goes around to many people. Your content of insight and everything was very, very educational and inspiring to me.
thank you so much for that. And
Yeah.
I'm always interested in the backstories. A lot of times people will see, they'll see people and they'll say, they'll automatically think, oh, she's doing that, or she's doing that, she must have had it easy. But there's always a backstory. And of course, we know that we do not have any testimonies, right? Unless we go through and pass tests. That's the only way that we can have testimonies. And I believe testimonies are, when you have them, I believe it is our responsibility to share them, because we're generally not the only ones that either have gone through or will go through what we did. So we have to make sure that our testimonies will encourage others, because I know I have certainly been encouraged by so many of the women that have received these awards. It's absolutely amazing. And because we always hear of his history or his story. So I just thought it was just absolutely phenomenal with you creating the Her Story, because there are so many Her Stories. Even without Her Stories, there wouldn't be his stories, right? Because without women, men wouldn't be here, would they?
Yes, we are the first educators, right?
That's right.
We are the birth givers, and I think it was actually Father Moon said, 99% of the children are influenced by the mother.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's responsibility also, and that's, if I can just add that, as a woman, I was deeply thinking when I was 18, what does it mean to be a woman, actually? And I thought, wow, what a privilege that we can be also co-creators by giving life to our children. As imperfect as we are, right? God is using us to continue humanity. And so what can we do to make it a good outcome, right?
Yeah. And I think it's so beautiful that he trusts us to do that.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. Well, I usually like to ask, I know that you are living your dream. I think it's wonderful. Has this always been an easy path for you to be able to yield your dream? And if you could just maybe share maybe one thing that you really had to overcome on this dream, or if perhaps in the past you may have faced such obstacles that you thought maybe, wow, I don't know if I want to continue this path or not. So can you just kind of give us a little highlight of that? Usually at the end, I like to share because again, so many people are, they're going through so many things and they're either living their dream or they're on the way to live their dream. And then when they have obstacles that show up, and they most certainly do show up, what are we going to do with them? Are we going to, make those, are we going to run into those obstacles? Or are we going to be able to maneuver through and around those? So if you would share, that would be so great.
You're putting me on the spot and asking for my her story.
Oh, that's a great idea, huh?
Okay, yeah, certainly there are many, many such situations. I can highlight maybe a few. One is certainly when you set out on that path that is like a higher purpose, you get looked upon like naive, but this is a dream on kind of thing. That's not going to happen. Get real here. That was my first challenge when I was even young, very young age, in the 20s. So what helped me was the vision here, the vision of the movement, and that other people have done that. But it was hard when people also attack you and they misunderstand completely. I think that was biggest challenge because I come from the heart and people don't come from the heart. So there's a huge disconnect, right? So that hurt me so much. And that was many times where I thought maybe I just can't take it anymore. You know what I mean? And people trying to push me out of the way. And I knew though, because I'm also spiritual and I'm an ordained minister, by the way, then I felt, and I asked God, and God said, no, I have a plan, stay, just wait, peace, be still. And I just waited. And then God moved and put me out of the picture for a while. I got sick. So then until things rolled over or whatever, and then things changed. So I learned how to just never, ever give up. The moment you give up, you give up. There's no hope. But just to never give up and to press on, press on. I heard a friend say, press past the pain, right? That helped me, You're familiar with that. So these women helped me in prayer, helped me in prayer to not lose the vision. And then I also, when I was, neglected and ignored and sidelined, there was another thing, in public settings or with other leaders, male leaders, of course, right? And I was a pastor here in Maryland. I didn't mention that even in the bio. For 4 years, I pastored and I was ordained, God's Vision International. There was a very hard time when you have a woman leader and there is no resonance where I'm coming from. It is interpreted in a different way. And so I just had to say, God, I do the best I can and find like-minded ladies to support me so I could survive. And I learned also how to keep my health because I got actually sick sometimes when everything comes to you and you're so attacked. You look down on yourself and suddenly feel, oh, I'm nothing, or I just this negative self-image comes up that we all have as women. There was, I think, the biggest challenge in those times that I put on myself. And so I learned how to go above that through prayer and having people of faith. And there sometimes could be from a different faith, from a Muslim mother praying together. Why not? Because prayer is from the heart. That's why I like the interfaith. And so, I feel I was misunderstood a lot. And but because we don't give up, then God gives a blessing. I'm not doing this for myself. Even though I'm part of this organization, I don't mind what organization I'm part of, right? I'm not doing this for my title. I'm not doing this for being acknowledged and get a career going. I really want to do the will of God, and I really want to inspire and uplift people. And when I see that, even though I feel bad, there is a need that gets me going again. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So there's this need, and that's my mother's heart. You can't give up on a child. You can't, no matter what they have done, what they've gone through. And so that is that mother's heart. Also, I would say, that kept me going. And when I was sick, I learned also how to take care of myself, you know, to take a break. We
Yeah.
also run ourselves to, we burn the candle on both ends, right?
Right.
And we cannot do anything.
Yeah.
I died almost twice because of that, and also a near-death accident. But again, you know, God guided me to find ways to heal and to get a diet and see myself in a positive light. I do a lot of healing actually on myself and with other people, because if a woman gets healed, then you can heal your family. That's another thing we're actually talking about in Women's Federation. We
Yeah.
cannot have peace also without healing, right? And reconciliation can also not happen if there's no healing involved,
Yeah.
because the wounds are there, right? The emotional wounds. So these, I've gone through all of that myself. So I can relate, you know. I almost have to be grateful because God, because then I can understand other women and mothers who are going even through more difficulties than I have gone through. This is my dream calling, right?
Yeah.
And so I have a different experience than if it's life that's happening to me and I'm the victim, right? I'm choosing this path and choosing to take controversy and get stronger.
Yeah. And just so glad that you continued and you pressed forward, because one thing I know for sure, when God gives you a dream, it's usually equal to you fulfilling your purpose. So
Yes.
that's why you have to continue to press forward, because and many people don't really know what their purpose is. And so you go to God and you pray, and he will make it very clear for you what your purpose is. And once you really do understand your purpose, then you will begin to walk in that purpose. It's not going to be like a walk across the beach every day. Like you said, there are going to be, adversities you'll face, but it's just a matter of making sure that you just you keep, I like to call it tunnel vision. This is what God told me
That's
to
a good
do.
one.
God told me to do this, so I'm going to just keep going on that path. And of course, like I said, you'll have adversities, and Satan's busy, and you'll have the enemy trying to throw things at you to stop it. Because for the simple fact is, when you're trying to make a difference, when you are living in love and peace, then you are going to have opposition. So very glad that you stayed true to your calling. And, God gave you the ability to make sure that you continue to press through. And we are just so, on behalf of all of those, I say thank you so much for, really staying the course, because that's what you've done. You've stayed the course. And this, again, is such a wonderful organization. It's, like I said, when I was introduced to it, I thought, wow, amazing. Why haven't I heard about this, before? That was my thought. So I start telling other people about it and to check it out. And again, it's the Women's Federation for World Peace. And please tell them how they can take a look at your website again. Would you give the web address for them again?
Okay, that's WFWP.us. There's our USA website. We also collaborate with Canada, by the way. So yeah, everyone is welcome to check it out and to become a member and to get into that sphere of what we call the logic of love and the culture of heart. That is actually one of our goals as well. But we always have to check myself. Am I at peace, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so definitely, yeah, please check it out. And I think the time has come where I really feel, even though even as an organization, and I want to really give credit to my amazing women leaders in the field. I cannot not do that. We have 5 regional directors and then many chairwomen, and my staff and my husband and my children have been supporting me. That has been really a blessing. When there was no one else there, then I could go to my husband. And yeah, because we are also committing to this family marriage blessing ideal, right? When we were introduced to each other in 1982. So yeah, it really made a difference. And what did I want to say? Yeah, when you're in that sphere, then you can also, when you have kind of an interaction with goodness, it brings out the good in you, right? But many times we are so inundated with negative news and terrible, it's all negative. I'm waiting for the one newspaper that will just give the good news.
Yeah, I agree with you because, and I mentioned that earlier in one of the sessions that I did a little earlier today, is that we have to protect, our all of our gates, especially our hearing gates, because you can watch the news for 10 minutes and you're totally depressed and you've heard all this bad news. And unfortunately, you don't hear as much, as many organizations that are concentrating on the better news or the positive news. I remember, I guess probably a few months ago on my Blog Talk radio broadcast, I just wanted to talk about good news, and that's what I called it, good news. And I don't know if you remember the song from, was it The Wizard of Oz? I think it was one of the Wizard of Oz shows or something. And there was a song called Don't You Bring Me No Bad News.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You remember that song? So I played that and highlighted that because we just only wanted to talk about good news. And so we have to be very conscious of protecting ourselves because that, a lot of negativity, we're so surrounded by so much of it. We have to protect, our spirits, because that will certainly, transfer into our spirits. And then we'll call someone and say, oh, did you see all those people that got murdered? And did you see the dog that got ran over down the street? And did you see? And it's like, oh my gosh, wow. So we have to be, very cognizant to try to surround ourselves with positivity. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been such a pleasure. President Angelika Selle. I'm just so glad we were able to finally come together to be able to make this happen. I know there will be so many people that will view this, will be so encouraged by your story, by the organization that you are also heading. And I thank you so much for sharing today.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you for what you're doing. I look forward to collaborating, to amplify the goodness that we are involved in. Thank you so much.
And thank you. And don't forget, October 22nd is the 30th anniversary for the Women's Federation for World Peace Celebration. And I love it. You said it's called Radiate, right?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thanks again. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. I know you enjoyed hearing from President Angelika Selle. And again, thank you and take care. God bless and bye for now.
Thank you.